The losing streak continues. The injury curse continues. My campaign to give Daniil Tarasov at least one knife continues. We're going to talk about all of that and more on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you news, stories, game recaps, game previews, prospect talk, yelling, all of the above and more about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked On Blue Jacket is free and available on all podcast platforms and also over on YouTube. So if you haven't hit subscribe over there, then please feel free to do so. It helps me out. It helps you out. You get notified when your episodes go live. Everybody wins. And speaking of the opposite of winning, the Columbus Blue Jackets lost again last night. This was another one of those losses that didn't have to be a loss. I thought the team played really well. They did everything, basically everything right, except put the puck in the net. I think. And okay, so they lose 2-1 to the Dallas Stars. And honestly, after I was watching the first period, and I was like, you know what? I have a feeling this is going to be one of those terrible 1-0 victories for the Dallas Stars, because they scored to open the game, and then it was 1-0 for ages. It was, I believe, it was Mason Marchment who scored, actually, which is sure that's a name that scores goals. Let's pull up the recap thingy. Excuse me, it was Wyatt Johnson. So I feel better about that. Johnson is the Stars rookie. He's having a real good campaign. Went in the same draft that Kent Johnson and Cole Sillinger did. So he opens the scoring about a minute into the second period. But the first period I thought was really good. Again, second period, they scored that goal, and then I got about halfway through the second period, and I was like, I'm not going to tweet this because I don't want to bring that evil into the universe, but this has all the markings of Tarasov playing excellently and the Blue Jackets getting shut out 1-0. And that isn't what happened, but it is close. Jason Robertson scores an empty netter with about a minute and 10 seconds left. A minute and 7 seconds, exactly. That's his 24th of the season. Jason Robertson's so good at hockey. I know this is not news to many people, but just what a treat it is for Stars fans to get to watch him play game in, game out. And it was kind of a weird empty net goal. I think it looked like it wasn't going to go in, and then it was like, well, there it goes. Ken Johnson ruins Jake Ottinger's shutout bid with 15 seconds left because he's petty, and I appreciate that about him. And that means that you get the rare game where the winning goal is an empty net goal, which is just real stupid. But hey, it is what it is. Ken Johnson playing in that top line center spot with injuries to Boone Jenner, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I thought he had a real nice game. The possession wasn't there for much of the game, but he was getting good looks. Obviously, he ended up scoring. And frankly, I thought he was the best player on that line. Which sounds weird to say when you consider who his line mates are, but I thought he had a real good game. I'd be interesting to know how he did on the what was his face-off percentage? Essentially, is what I want to know. His face-off percentage was 27%, which is not great, but considering Roslovic and Josh Dunn had 33% each, Sean Corrali was really doing the heavy lifting in terms of face-offs. He had 63% face-off success. No one on this team is good at face-offs, and especially with Boone Jenner out, there goes your one semi-competent face-off winning guy. Which I thought it was. I noticed So the Blue Jackets have been doing a thing for a while where, and this is like from way, way back in, up to like 2017-ish, is they needed a face-off win. Brandon Dubinsky would go out there, he would win the face-off, and then immediately hightail it to the bench, and then they would get the real center of that line on. When Dubinsky went down with the injury and then ended up not coming back, that was Boone Jenner's job, and now Boone Jenner is out. So that appears to be Sean Corrali's job, because I noticed a couple of times, especially towards the end of the game, where Sean Corrali would go out between Gaudreau and Laine, take a face-off, and then just run back to the bench. Johnson would come out. I don't dislike it as a strategy, but I do think it's a strategy that only works if you both win the face-off and maintain possession. Because then otherwise what you've got is Sean Corrali facing off against the number one center for the Dallas Stars. So, it's for the most part, I think it worked, but a very high risk way of going about it, let's say. Interestingly, something I've just noticed, which and we're going to talk in a minute about special teams. The first unit was on the entire. They had one power play in the entire game. I believe there was only one penalty in the whole game. Nils Lundqvist slashed Ken Johnson near the end of the second period. So there was one power play for the Blue Jackets and none for the Dallas Stars. The Blue Jackets used the same guys for the entire 2-minute power play. It was Gaudreau, Nyquist, Laine, Roslovic, and Bjork were all out there for the full 2 minutes. Nobody else got power play time. No one got shorthanded time. I just thought that was, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. One of those weird situations where the guys are rolling. I thought it was a decent power play as well. I don't know what the shot totals were, but it had some good movement. Marcus Bjork put it off the post, one of two huge posts in the third period. But the power play looked good, which is, again, it looked good last game, is the thing. And it's been looking better. It's been looking better, like, it feels like it's relative to the penalty kill getting worse. I feel like any given night, one of them is good and one of them is bad, and it feels like we're getting more nights where the power play is good than the penalty kill is good, which, I mean, if I had to choose, I'd take it. In a minute, we are going to talk a little bit more about the game. I want to talk a little bit about Daniil Tarasov. That's coming up in just a minute, but first, I want to tell you about BetOnline, because it's your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college ball to basketball to the NHL to, I don't know, you could probably bet on who's going to go where for the MLB. They've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to Locked on Blue Jackets, you do love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They are the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. And probably you could put some money on Ken Johnson's Calder odds, because I feel like every time he scores a goal, they go up. And he sure did do that in this game. So go to betonline.net to place your Calder Trophy bets now. BetOnline, where the game starts. So let's talk goaltending, because this was a real... you don't see a lot of goaltending duels like this anymore, I feel like. Daniil Tarasov made 32 of 33 saves for a .970 save percentage, and Jake Ottinger made 27 of 28 for a .964. These are two very good, very young goalies. And again, it was just really fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. The Stars have a real gem with Jake Ottinger. He's going to be good for a long time. But the thing about Daniil Tarasov for me is, I don't know if the Blue Jackets know what they have here. He has been, since coming into this league, since making his NHL debut last season, he didn't get a win. He played like the equivalent of 3 full games. Like, he played 2 full games, and then 40 minutes of one game, and then 20 minutes of another game. And he had like a .936 save percentage last season. So far this season, he has, I think, 2 whole wins to his name. But one of those losses is the one from last night. He has a 915 save percentage and a record of 2-6-1. His career is 12-2-8. So 12 wins. Nope, that's a lie. 2-8-1. So 2 wins, 9 losses for a 921 save percentage. Daniil Tarasov has been working his butt off for this team, and it always seems to be that he plays in games where they don't remember how to score. So let's take a look at the games. So against Boston, allowed 4 goals. The Blue Jackets scored 2. Tampa Bay allowed 3 goals. The Blue Jackets scored 1. Vegas, he didn't end up doing anything, I guess. Allowed 2 goals. Made 34 saves, but it doesn't say whether he won, lost, or tied. I assume the game-winning goal went somewhere else. So, I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. Played against Florida, won that game. But these are his last 5 games, by the way. So, loss. Who knows? Loss. Win against Florida. I believe that was a shootout loss, actually. That'll be that. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap that up. Allowed 1 goal, 970 save percentage, loss. Allowed 4 goals, loss. Allowed 3 goals, loss. So okay, I thought he was very good in Boston. Right up until the end. So he faced 39 saves. He faced 39 shots and made 35 saves. Against Tampa Bay, he faced 28 shots and made 25 saves. Against Vegas, he faced 36 shots and made 34 saves. Against Florida, he faced 50 shots and made 47 saves. And that's just his last 5 games. The rest of the season, he came in relief in Boston, played 1 period, didn't allow any goals, made 6 saves. Arizona came on in relief, wasn't very good, but no one was very good in that game. His first career win, he had a 968 against New York. Daniil Tarasov's going to be really, really good if the Blue Jackets can figure out a way to play in front of him. And I mean, I said this kind of jokingly last night. I see a lot of Sergei Bobrovsky in him. And I see a lot of specifically the Bobrovsky that we saw when he first came to the Blue Jackets and was kind of still trying to find his feet. He'd struggled in Philadelphia. And then he ended up, winning a Vezina, winning 2 Vezinas as a Blue Jacket. So I don't know that Daniil Tarasov is going to be a 2 Vezina winning goalie for the Blue Jackets, but with the injuries and the struggling play of, Korpisalo's been struggling at points this season. He's been injured. Elvis has been injured and struggling at, points this season. Daniil Tarasov is giving this team a chance to win games. They're not taking these chances, but he is keeping them in it, which is for a guy that's 22 and he's 23 and has 14 NHL games. It's really fun to see. Speaking of guys that only have 4 NHL games to their name, Jeff Svoboda made a fun observation about last night's game, which is that if you include the goalie, the Blue Jackets had 9 players with under 50 NHL games experience. That's it. That's it. I don't really have a point to make there. Somebody else pointed out that Ryan Suter has more games by himself than the entire Blue Jackets defense corps put together. I believe that Blue Jackets defense corps has about 1,100 games, and 670 of those are Gudbranson. Ryan Suter has 1,300 NHL games. So again, that kind of puts it into perspective what the Blue Jackets are doing with what they have on the blue line this season. Even the veterans, quote unquote veterans, like Vladislav Gavrikov and Andrew Peak, who have under 250 games each. I believe Peak has under 150. So they're doing the best they can, I guess. But in a minute, we're going to talk a little bit about injuries. And we're also going to talk about the Philadelphia Flyers because the Blue Jackets face them tonight. That's all coming up in just a minute on Locked On Blue Jackets. So the injury bug, curse, what have you, keeps on rolling. They are down another at least 2 players, possibly 3. Boone Jenner is out for a month. He broke his thumb in the Florida game and then continued to play in that game and then played in 2 more games, which is just so dumb, so stupid. He's out for a month. He has to get surgery on his broken thumb. Cole Sillinger, upper body day to day, they say, and Yegor Chinakhov left the game with a lower body injury. One of the, I think it was Kiviranta of the Dallas Stars, fell on his leg, like just a complete fluke accident play. Fell on his leg. The knee went the wrong way. He wasn't putting any weight on it. So I feel like that's probably minimum 2 weeks, maximum much longer. But the injury curse just keeps on keeping on. So there goes another 3 players for the foreseeable. Mike McCurdy on Twitter pointed out that now, and I'm just going to knock on wood about this, there's only 2 Blue Jackets forwards that haven't missed time due to injury this season, or injury or illness, and that is Johnny Gaudreau and Gus Nyquist, which is, Gus Nyquist was the only forward to play all 82 games last season after missing an entire season due to shoulder surgery, so he clearly has come back. Gus Nyquist had a real good game, actually. I know that we've kind of moved on from talking about the game, but he had a really good game. I thought that line I liked. The Rostovic, Nyquist, and Marchenko. It was Marchenko for the most part line. I liked that line a lot. It was good. It was effective. Again, just couldn't get the pucks in the net. But if there was ever going to be a game for the Blue Jackets to get right, it feels like tonight. They're facing the Philadelphia Flyers, who the Blue Jackets have beaten twice already this season. Former Blue Jacket Cam Atkinson is done for the season without actually ever having played a game this season, I believe. He missed the start due to off-season wrist surgery, and then it was announced that he's getting season-ending neck surgery, which sounds terrifying, but he's going to be out for the foreseeable. The last time these 2 teams played, the Flyers were, if you'll excuse the pun, flying high. They have kind of come back down to earth a little bit now. They are 10, 15, and 7. Carter Hart, again, is doing the best he can. He's 9-9-6, a 913 save percentage. But the team is not super helping him out there. So we'll see. Again, we'll see how it goes. They might put Sandstrom in. The Blue Jackets are struggling right now, and usually that means that the other team thinks, hey, we can get away with putting a backup in. Sandstrom has an 888 save percentage and is 161 to go through the season so far. So, I mean, sorry to Felix, but that would be really great for the Blue Jackets' confidence personally. And then, like, in terms of skaters, James Van Riemsdyk apparently has decided not to age. He's got 6 points in his last 5 games. Scott Lawton has 3 goals in his last 5 games. The Flyers are having a bit of a weird one, frankly. They just scratched their leading scorer, Kevin Hayes. Travis Konechny has been scratched at certain points this season or benched. Tortorella is doing Tortorella things over there, but I would expect Kevin Hayes to take that personally, to come back and probably have a pretty big night against the Blue Jackets. But I also think this is a chance for the Blue Jackets to have a pretty big night of their own. So in terms of predictions, I am going to say we don't even have a former Flyer to open the scoring because Jake Voracek's still out. I'm going to say that Jack Roslovic opens the scoring because why not? That was the first healthy name that came to mind. And I think it's going to be a 3-1. No, I think it's going to be a 4-3 Blue Jackets win. I assume Elvis is starting tonight, although I wouldn't put it past Brad Larson to put Tarasov in. Who knows? They do what they want with the goalies. The goalie workload management this season has been bonkers to me, and we're going to talk about that in a future episode probably. But that's my guess is Elvis starts. Blue Jackets win 4-3, and we get to go home happy. We get to go into the Christmas break happy. I believe this is the last game before Christmas break. Oh, no, they have one more game on December 23rd against the Blackhawks. That'll be fun. It won't. I'll hate it. But my point remains. 4-3 win over the Flyers. Just hopefully no one else gets hurt. I'm just going to go ahead and knock on wood again. But that's it for me today. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFYSTER. You can follow this Twitter at LO_Blue Jackets. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked On Blue Jackets is available, like I said, at the Twitter handle. You can find us on any podcasting app of choice. You can find us on YouTube. You can email me if you want, lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And just once again, as we get closer and closer to Christmas, thank you for listening. I appreciate all of you. Numbers keep on going up, which is super great, even as the Blue Jackets continue to struggle. So I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate like 4 Blue Jackets. But until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.